Honesty won't win you a crowd, but it will attract the right people. True friends are rare. Better to have a few genuine ones than 1,000 fake smiles. Comparing yourself with others only wastes your own life's minutes. Everyone is busy thinking of themselves. Stop worrying about what they think of you. People change. Sometimes even your closest friend becomes a stranger. You're not behind in life. You're just on your own path. Don't cling to anyone for happiness, or you'll weaken yourself. Never make someone a priority if they treat you like an option. Going back to your ex is like wearing dirty clothes after a fresh shower. Because you miss someone doesn't mean they belong in your future. Share your progress, not your plans. Results inspire, words fade. If you can be happy alone, you'll never depend on anyone for peace. Fear isn't a barrier, it's proof that you care. Patience feels long, but when it pays off, you'll see it was short. Self-care means realizing you're often your biggest obstacle. Not every thought needs to become words. Don't do anything you'd be ashamed to admit later. Loud people aren't always wise. Sometimes silence is intelligence. Listen twice as much as you speak. You have 2 ears for a reason. Overthinking turns small problems into heavy storms. Don't make permanent choices based on temporary emotions. Don't look for happiness outside. It lives within you. You don't owe your past self anything, but you owe your present self everything. Change isn't your enemy, it's the invitation to grow. Life gets easier when you start seeing good in people. Every storm you survive makes you stronger than before. You've survived all your bad days so far, you're undefeated. Hard roads often lead to beautiful destinations. Pain is a teacher, suffering is optional. Tough times reveal the hero inside you. Success is not about resources, it's about resourcefulness. Action brings clarity, thinking alone changes nothing. Commitment starts the journey, persistence finishes it. You don't find purpose, you create it where you are. The first step in faith is enough. The staircase will reveal itself. The more grateful you are, the richer life feels. Don't wait to lose someone to realize their value. What you put in your body is what it gives back. Respect it. The world looks more beautiful when you choose gratitude. Stop wishing, start working. Maturity begins when you stop complaining and start changing. Sometimes letting go is the bravest thing you can do. Bad days are building blocks for better ones. Every ending is a doorway to a new beginning. Happiness is not the absence of problems, but the ability to face them. Life won't give you everything. You always trade something to gain something. If you don't shape your life, someone else will shape it for you. If you don't shape your life, someone else will shape it for you. You are both your best friend and your worst enemy. Choose wisely. Nothing changes until you change. Your tomorrow can look completely different if you try today. Life will repeat its lessons in gentler or harsher ways until you learn to listen. Inner strength grows when you stop demanding easier circumstances and start building the capacity to meet the ones you have with clarity, courage, and care. Personal growth is less a sprint toward perfection and more a daily practice of honest self-inquiry, compassionate course corrections, and choosing the next right step even when your fear insists on standing still. Your resilience is not measured by how little you feel, but by how faithfully you move forward while feeling everything, letting pain inform you without letting it define you, and letting hope guide you without blinding you. The most liberating decision you can make is to take responsibility for your life without taking blame for your past. Accountability fuels change, while shame only chains you to what you're trying to leave behind. Strength is born in the space between stimulus and response. When you learn to breathe there, long enough to notice your options, you discover you are not your impulse, but the wisdom that chooses. Growth asks you to trade the comfort of certainty for the discomfort of truth. The sooner you welcome honest feedback, the faster you evolve into someone who can carry a larger life with steadiness. Boundaries are the architecture of self-respect. They do not push people away so much as they invite the right ones in, creating room for both generosity and safety to coexist in your relationships. Failure is a teacher fluent in the dialect of reality. If you listen without defensiveness, it will translate your blind spots into maps, your missteps into momentum, and your regret into readiness. Patience is not passive. It is disciplined waiting, active trusting, and strategic resting. So your next move is powered by alignment rather than anxiety or the loudest pressure in the room. Inner strength grows quieter as it grows deeper. It stops needing to announce itself because it has learned that certainty is a feeling, not a performance, and peace is evidence enough. What you practice when no one is watching becomes who you are when everyone is. Small private choices compound into public character, and integrity is simply consistency over time. Your mind believes the story you repeat. Narrate your life with language that respects your effort, admits your errors, honors your limits, and insists on your possibility, and your actions will begin to follow. Letting go is not loss. It is creating capacity for arrival. Releasing what is heavy so what is meant for you can recognize the space you've made and decide to stay. Courage rarely feels like courage when you're doing it. It feels like trembling hands choosing the phone call, the apology, the first step, trusting that bravery lives on the other side of the next inhale. Gratitude doesn't deny hardship. It widens the frame to include helpers, lessons, and moments of reprieve, teaching you that joy is not the absence of pain but the presence of meaning. Discipline is self-respect in motion. When you keep promises to yourself, you become someone your future can depend on, and trust in yourself is the most renewable source of power. Comparison shrinks your life to the size of someone else's path. Look long enough at your own feet, and you'll find the ground that belongs only to you, waiting to be walked with dignity. You cannot heal in a hurry. Wounds require time, tenderness, and truth, and any shortcut you take becomes a detour you'll walk again until you learn to travel at the speed of kindness. Clarity arrives after curiosity. Ask better questions of yourself. What hurts? What helps? What matters? What can wait? And your choices will start answering with the shape of the life you want. Confidence is built by keeping small promises, not big performances. Stack tiny wins until they change your posture, and let the echo of follow-through speak louder than any applause. Forgiveness is setting down the weight you were never meant to carry. It is not excusing harm, but refusing to let the past keep charging rent in the home of your heart. Peace comes when you stop negotiating with your non-negotiables. Define your values, then let them make your decisions, so your yes has backbone and your no has grace. The voice you use when you talk to yourself becomes the weather of your inner world. Choose words that help you grow, and you'll walk each day in a climate that nourishes courage. Rest is not a reward for exhaustion. It is a requirement for excellence, a strategic investment in clarity, and the foundation upon which strong choices and steady emotions are built. You can't outthink a feeling you refuse to feel. Emotions move when they are acknowledged, metabolized by breath and presence, and given a safe place to complete their cycle. Maturity is learning to hold two truths at once. I am proud of how far I've come, and I have farther to go, and both can be celebrated without rushing or self-rejection. Your environment is stronger than your willpower on a bad day. Design your surroundings to make the right decisions easy and the wrong ones inconvenient, and your habits will thank you. Humility is not thinking less of yourself. It is knowing yourself, your gifts, your gaps, your growth edges, and choosing to keep learning even when applause tries to convince you to stop. Purpose is not found. It is built, one choice, one skill, one act of service at a time, until what you repeatedly do becomes who you reliably are. When you don't know what to do the next kind thing. Kindness keeps you moving, and motion invites clarity, while stagnation breeds the illusion that confusion is permanent. Resilience is remembering that storms are seasons. Prepare well, anchor deeply, bend when you must, and trust that the same winds that test your roots also teach your branches to reach. Say what you mean without meanness. Honesty with compassion preserves both truth and connection, allowing relationships to grow stronger instead of harder with time. If you want different outcomes, change your inputs, what you read, watch, eat, say, and surround yourself with. The caliber of your life is a reflection of the quality of your inputs. Growth hurts before it helps. The discomfort you feel is the stretch of new capacity forming, and if you breathe through it, tomorrow's strength will thank you for today's willingness. You teach others how to treat you by how consistently you treat yourself. Model respect, and your boundaries will begin to speak before you do. Learn to pause between noticing and naming. Language can liberate or limit, and sometimes the kindest thing you can do is to let an experience be felt before you decide what it means. The bravest apologies include changed behavior. Words heal when they are followed by patterns that prove the wound won't be reopened in the same way. Don't wait for motivation. Design routines that carry you when enthusiasm is asleep, because consistency will take you places excitement can only point to. Uncertainty is not the enemy of peace. Control is. When you stop wrestling for guarantees and start preparing for possibilities, you free your energy to create rather than to cling. Joy is a discipline of attention. Notice small goodnesses on purpose, and you'll discover that wonder was not missing from your life. You were missing from wonder. Be the guardian of your attention. Where it rests, your life builds. Protect it from noise, feed it with nuance, and watch your inner world grow spacious and strong. The past is a reference book, not a residence. Consult it for wisdom, but live where your feet are, writing chapters your future self will be proud to reread. Let your questions be bigger than your conclusions. Curiosity keeps you teachable, and teachability keeps you growing beyond the borders of your current understanding. Self-trust is earned the same way you trust others. By showing up, being honest, and keeping promises, especially the small ones no one else would notice if you broke. Crisis introduces you to your tools. Preparation introduces you to your options. Reflection introduces you to your meaning. Use all three, and your trials will be transformed into teachers. You can honor your limits without abandoning your dreams. Sustainable progress respects capacity, and the most enduring victories are won at a pace your nervous system can hold. Make peace with being a beginner. Mastery is just the repetition of humble starts, and every expert you admire began where you are, with shaky steps and a stubborn willingness. Speak to your future self with today's choices. Imagine their gratitude, their calm, their freedom, and let that vision be louder than the urge to trade long-term peace for short-term relief. Let sincerity be your strategy. Authenticity travels farther than performance, collects the right people, and allows your success to fit you comfortably when it finally arrives. Keep going kindly. The path to inner strength is not paved with harshness but with steady love for the process, for the person you're becoming, and for the life you are patiently building. Inner strength expands when self-honesty becomes a daily ritual. The courage to see clearly creates the capacity to act wisely, and the capacity to act wisely turns storms into schools rather than prisons. Let discipline be gentleness with a backbone. Routines built from care rather than punishment last longer and lift farther because they honor the nervous system that must carry them. Growth begins where certainty ends. Curiosity plants its flag on the border of the unknown and calls it practice, not peril, so the next step feels possible even when the path is not visible. Resilience is the art of editing attention. What is fed grows stronger, what is starved fades, and the power to choose that diet is the quiet sovereignty of a steady mind. Life stops asking for permission when change arrives. Meet it with flexible values and firm boundaries, and transformation will feel like alignment rather than invasion. Carry what matters, set down what doesn't. The pack gets lighter not when the trail is kind, but when priorities become clear enough to leave what was never meant to come. The bravest form of patience is the kind that keeps preparing without proof. It trusts that the harvest belongs to the sower long before the first green breaks the soil. If the story hurts, revise the lens. Reframing turns threat into training, missteps into messages, and fear into feedback that fine-tunes skill rather than freezes will. Boundaries are not walls but doors with instructions. Clarity on what gets in protects the peace that keeps generosity renewable. Confidence is a trail of kept promises. Make them small, keep them daily, and let the accumulation move the posture before it moves the mountains. Healing is not a race but a relearning of rhythm. Go at the speed of safety and the body will return what the body can trust. Adversity is a demanding teacher, but it never leaves without grading on growth. Show your work with reflection, and even a failing day can pass in wisdom. What attention repeats, identity remembers. Practice the patterns that match the person you are becoming until effort turns into ease and decision into default. Self-compassion is not an alibi. It is the energy source that funds change without debt, allowing persistence to outlast perfectionism. Let go, not to lose, but to travel. Lightness is not emptiness. It is capacity waiting for what is finally aligned to arrive and stay. The question shapes the answer. Ask for lessons instead of verdicts, for leverage instead of labels, and the day will return usefulness instead of shame. When fear shouts for guarantees, give it preparation. Readiness calms the system and turns uncertainty from an enemy into an arena. Comparison is the thief of savor. Attend to the texture of this moment and uniqueness will make enoughness audible again. Strong lives are built in quiet repetitions. Consistency is the craftsman that mortises character to action until they cannot be separated. Fail well, extract the lesson, reinforce the boundary, refine the plan. Then close the book and carry only the page you need. Environment beats willpower on a weary day. Design the room to remind the future, and the future will thank the room. Say less, mean more. Let the integrity of follow-through add volume where words would only add noise. Gratitude widens the frame. Naming what is present restores perspective when pain tries to crop life to a single corner. Peace grows where non-negotiables are known. Values make decisions before dilemmas arrive, so energy is spent doing rather than debating. Start small enough to start. Momentum is built by thresholds that invite entry, not by gates that demand heroics. The body keeps the scorecard for stress and solace. Breathe like safety and the mind will remember it has choices. Let kindness be the first step when clarity is not ready. Motion toward good reveals the next foothold in fog. Humility is accurate self-knowledge in action. It learns fast, shares credit, and keeps the channel open for growth to flow. Rest is strategy, not surrender. Recovery multiplies return on effort by restoring precision, patience, and perspective. Live as if attention were currency. Invest it where meaning compounds and divest it from what pays only in noise. Resilience is remembering the tools already earned. Acknowledgement of resources turns panic into procedure and chaos into choreography. Let the lesson be heavier than the regret. Carrying wisdom is the only weight light enough for the long road. Clarity follows curiosity the way sunrise follows east. Ask honest questions and the horizon will keep its appointments. Discipline that protects dignity is sustainable. Say yes without self-betrayal and no without self-contempt. Practice ending the day with one kept promise. Tomorrow's confidence is written in tonight's quiet completion. Identity grows in the direction of repetition. Rehearse the virtues desired until they feel like home rather than costume. Let the past be a library, not a leash. Consult it for wisdom and then return to the chapter that can still be written. If the map is missing, build by principles. Values cross any terrain even when roads do not. Courage is decisions made at breath length. Inhale, choose, and let the exhale carry the step your fear would delay. Protect the morning from noise. The first inputs set the trajectory of attention, and attention sets the shape of a day. Boundaries make generosity renewable. Without edges, even kindness erodes into resentment. Confidence needs evidence, not applause. Stack proofs so small they cannot be dropped, and let accumulation become authority. When the heart breaks, widen the container. Meaning gives pain a place to move through rather than a place to live in. Let feedback be a mirror, not a mandate. Take what clarifies, release what condemns, and continue crafting. Maturity is holding pride and hunger together. Grateful for progress, eager for refinement, patient with the pace. Choose inputs that match outcomes. Diet is not just food but media, company, and self-talk, and all of it becomes blood. Be a beginner with reverence. Mastery is the circle traced 1,000 times until the hand learns what the mind imagined. Make meaning the metric. When purpose leads, performance follows and peace stays. Aim for sturdy, not shiny. Quiet sturdiness holds more weight than loud momentum. Keep going kindly. Strong doesn't need to be harsh when steady is available and love can do the heavy lifting. Let self-compassion steady the hand that holds the mirror. When kindness leads the appraisal, growth becomes sustainable courage rather than sharpened criticism. Resilience is the choreography of small, repeated choices that keep attention on what builds rather than what breaks, turning routines into a refuge on difficult days. Boundaries do not barricade love. They irrigate it, directing energy where it can flourish and preventing the slow leak of self-betrayal. Confidence is evidence accumulated in quiet. Stack kept promises the size of a breath, and let consistency write a posture that applause could never counterfeit. Peace arrives when goals are guided by values and paced by the nervous system's capacity, proving that sustainable progress is a kindness, not a concession. Resilience is not returning to what was, but learning to bounce forward, taking what hurt and turning it into wiser footing for the next step. Let self-compassion hold the fracture while it heals. Gentleness makes bouncing back sturdier by softening self-criticism and restoring flexible strength. When the storm hits, name the tools and name the people. Resilience multiplies with skills and social support, and setbacks shrink when shared. Adversity can be a forge, shaping post-traumatic growth where purpose deepens and possibilities widen, so recovery becomes reinvention. Begin with one doable action and one steady breath. Attention to small wins is how resilience turns hard days into recoverable ones.